The shipping industry has accused the government of dropping the ball when it comes to rebuilding our merchant shipping capacity. I want to get some analysis on this story. An interesting one. The government had committed to strengthen that industry before the last election. The industry says that has not happened. The CEO of the Maritime Industry Australia, Angela Gillham, joins me. Angela, for our viewers who aren't across this issue, what was promised and what is the state of our merchant capacity right now?
Thanks, Kieran. So what was promised was a strategic fleet of up to 12 Australian-owned, Australian crewed and Australian-flagged ships that would be deployed commercially and owned privately and available for requisitioning by the government in times of need. So where we're at now is we have had progress. The government stood up a task force in 2022. That task force reported in 2023. The government has gone to tender for a pilot program, which we are very supportive of. We welcome the government's move towards implementing a pilot program for the strategic fleet. But the sad fact is we've gone from 13 ships at the beginning of this term of government. We're towards the end of this term of government and we've lost 4 ships. We're down to 9.
And how does Australia's approach compare to other comparable nations when it comes to merchant shipping?
That's a great question. Australia is probably an outlier in terms of the value that we place upon our maritime capability. Nearly every other maritime nation, without fail, supports their sovereign commercial maritime capability because they understand the value that the industry provides to national security, national resilience and supply chain security.
So when you talk about that national resilience and supply chain, can you fill in some of the gaps there? What do you mean by that in terms of where a domestic and sovereign shipping capacity fits into that?
Well, it's really important for Australia. We're a very large island at the end of a global supply chain. We import almost everything that we utilise day to day, everything that's critical to our economy. We import up to 90% of our liquid fuels into the country, and we have very little reserves that will see us through even more than a few days. So in terms of national resilience, we must have control over those supply chains in order to shore up our security and protect our economy.
So Angela, we're on the eve of a federal election. Whoever wins, what needs to happen to build that strategic fleet?
So we need bipartisan support for strengthening Australia's sovereign commercial maritime capability. We can't go from election cycle to election cycle. These are very large investments and they require stable policy settings. So we're seeking a bipartisan commitment from the coalition and the current government, the ALP, to pursue significant policy changes that will allow the Australian shipping industry to compete on a level playing field with our foreign counterparts.
Okay, well, we will stay in touch and see what does transpire on that front after the election. Angela Gillham, CEO at the Maritime Industry of Australia, appreciate your time.